Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressors, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart, and this is So Much to Say. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. Today, we are talking to my friend Nikki, and we're talking about credit repair. I have to give you this disclaimer. She is not an expert. She's not an expert. She's just somebody who has really shady credit, like many of us. And so she has some tips that she wanted to share with you and me so that we can move forward in our credit recovery. So get a pen, a pad, something so that you can take notes or just be prepared to listen to this podcast again. Make sure you are subscribed. This podcast is free. It's always free on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. So go ahead and hit the share button because I know somebody else needs to listen to this because, listen, the bottom line is credit is real sketchy around here in these streets. This is very personal work for me. Politics. I believe I was called to tell my story, use my voice, be a voice for the community, to speak to and for a community of people that's been ignored, denied, overlooked. Religion. This is my life's work. Religion. I want to use words to uplift, heal, inspire, encourage. Do something different. Every Monday at 10. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to annualcreditreport.com. Okay? You can pull one free credit report annually. Once you get to that website, you can pull Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And they're going to ask you some questions that only you would know the answer to. So they're going to ask you, do you recognize this address? They're going to put like different...
And it could be an address that you might have lived in when you were 7 years old.
Right.
But they will still put it.
Right. They might ask you about an auto loan, what finance company you use. They might ask you about a home loan.
If you've recently applied for credit.
Right. So they're basically just asking you these kinds of questions to vet you because they can't release your credit report until they know that for sure that it is you requesting it. So the first thing you want to do is go to annualcreditreport.com.
Yes.
And then what's the next step?
Okay. So now you want to take a look at what's on your credit report.
Let's pull mine over here.
Okay.
Now I'm telling you now, this got all kinds of bullet wounds and stuff in it.
That's all right.
Because listen, as an entrepreneur, you know, you scar some things. Listen, I done messed up some credit. I done had some cars repossessed, plural.
That's all right. Because you can get it removed.
You can get it removed.
Now, I have, so I'm in a couple of groups that a friend of mine, she put me onto. It's on Facebook. And in this group is a plethora of knowledge and people that have gone or going through the exact same process. And it's rare that you would have something or have a question that nobody has ever asked.
Okay, so now what's that Facebook group?
Okay, so there are two.
Write this down. You want to write this down. There are two Facebook groups. They're free for you to be able to go in and talk to other people. Just like we have that Facebook group, So Much to Say Podcast Pen Pals, and we talk about what we talk about.
What's your Wi-Fi?
Yeah, that one. And then the Wi-Fi code is Words Never Spoken.
I should have known.
So it's a private group. When you get to the group, they're going to ask you why you want to be in the group. You can't be over there posting bullshit, okay? You can't.
They will delete you.
They will delete you. You have to be asking questions or just going in there reading the different posts about credit. Now, if you in there posting selfies and shit, they're going to get rid of you. Okay? They don't care nothing about your hairdo.
Or the hair you selling.
Or your shoes. You can't be in there promoting. So it's a group specifically for people who have damaged credit, or you're trying to repair your credit. Not even just that, because it's just good information.
And not
too.
even that is if you're trying to save. Because I know for me, my journey started with reading Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover, and listening to him made me realize how stupid some of the things that I have done are, and the debt that I have. Like even having a car note. And how so many Americans have a car note, but your car depreciates.
Every year.
What you're paying for it is not what it's going to be worth a few years from now.
So what were you saying? Reading that book made you realize some stupid things. What are some of the things that you can...
That I didn't have an adequate savings.
What's adequate?
I didn't have an emergency fund. So
okay.
if something at that point, if something were to happen, I would at that point I would have had to borrow from credit cards, or a bill was gonna have to wait because this was an emergency, and I didn't think that I needed an emergency fund because I had a savings account.
Okay.
But no, those are two separate things. You don't want to pull from your savings for an emergency because now your savings is depleted.
Right. So there's an emergency fund for an emergency, and then there's a savings for you to just fall back on. I guess when you get later to the latter part of your life and you just live on. He has
baby steps, and your first baby step is to get $1,000 in your emergency fund.
Okay.
And for some people, that may be really simple, but for me, it was really hard because it's like, okay, well, at the time I wasn't making a lot, and then it's, well, where am I supposed to get $1,000 from? And you
just to have
just to have.
Yeah. So now, what's adequate savings? Like, is it like 8 months worth of?
He says that you're supposed to at least have a year's worth of a salary.
A year's worth of salary?
But you got to start somewhere.
So let me ask: is it a year's worth of salary, or is it a year's worth of monthly expenses? Like, for example, let's just say it costs you $3,000 a month to pay your rent or mortgage and your car payment or your car insurance and your groceries and your utilities. Let's just say your monthly stuff is $3,000. Is it a year or is it a salary?
Your salary.
Oh.
And it can be done.
Right.
But to start off, you starting with $1,000. That's the first baby step. Your second baby step is to start your debt snowball.
Now, what's a debt snowball?
So what you want to do is you look at your current debt, whether it's your credit cards, if you're paying off a cell phone, and things like that. When I did mine, I went to Walgreens, got a big old poster board, and I started to list it. And I list what the amount was and what the monthly payment was.
So a snowball, is it kind of like your recurring bills or things that are due?
Not so much. Like, it wouldn't include your rent, but it would include like your Capital One. It would include your car note,
like debt, right?
Yeah, just debt. And I started with the lowest one possible.
Okay.
And I would pay the minimum on the others, but I would toss more money to the smaller one,
to the smaller bill.
And then once that was paid off, all that money that I was putting towards that one bill, I would put that plus some into the next one. And you keep snowballing it so that eventually you'll have a big wad of money that you're putting to because you had already been allocating X amount of money to a particular debt.
Okay. Now tell us the name of the Facebook group because we didn't tell them the name of the Facebook group.
We got sidetracked.
There's a Facebook group.
There are two.
There are two. Now the first one, I'm in this one. I don't think I'm in the other one.
Okay.
The first one is called Dream Catchers.
Yes.
Dream Catchers.
So Tiffany Alashay, I have been following her on Instagram for several years now. And she is the budgetnista. When I was following her, she was still an elementary school teacher.
This girl right here.
And she wasn't making a whole lot of money. But now she is teaching people how to get out of debt. She and her fiance just bought like a $500,000 house and they paid cash for it.
Oh.
Yeah. And now they're remodeling. So it is possible. You do have to sacrifice a little, and you have to hustle.
Sacrifice. Your success is on the other side of your sacrifice. I talk about that all the time.
Yes. And you have to have what they call gazelle intensity.
What is that?
So if you've ever
gazelle, like an animal. Okay.
And if you ever seen a gazelle running, they fast. And you have to have that kind of motivation to do it. Like when I started, I was doing Amazon Flex. I was working my regular job. I was answering surveys online. Anything for extra money to help me pay off this debt.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the first group. Now let me say this while you're looking for the other one. I'm in this particular group. I don't comment and do stuff like that, but there are times that I will go in there. But they have like forms in there. Like they have templates for if you need to write a letter to the credit bureau or something like that. Like if you need to dispute something. What other kind of?
I mean, and it's basically they have a whole handbook on how to get started.
They post this stuff in there for free. You just have to get in the group.
Now this group, this is a good group. The only thing that I don't like, but I respect her hustle, is the same documents that you can get from the first group.
Dreamcatchers
charges you for.
Credit Warriors charge you for.
Credit Warriors will charge you for these.
But Dreamcatchers give you the forms for
free.
Okay, so the second group, now I'm not in this group. The second group is called Credit Warriors. But like we were just saying, this group will charge you for some of the forms. Some of the same free forms that you can get in Dreamcatchers. Yes. Okay?
And too, you can Google some of these forms. But
you can Google them, yeah.
If you go to the files, they are there.
So when you get in the group, there's a link, it has like files, like just different templates.
Yes. So, and she also has challenges, credit challenges.
That's in Dreamcatchers?
Yes.
Okay.
For you.
Sound like you like Dreamcatchers more.
I do. Like, I respect, in the other group, I respect her hustle because that's her extra money. If people don't know and they're
you
paying,
pay a service. You charge a service, yeah.
Right. Whereas Tiffany, she's been there, and she's getting money other ways, so she's able to provide it for free. Like, she's on television and doing interviews, so she's getting her coin.
And then the thing about it, too, is when you're in this group, Dreamcatchers or Credit Warriors, you have other people in there just like yourself. You have other people in there. They're sharing information. They're sharing, things that they've learned. Part of the reason why I wanted to bring Nikki on, she's not an expert, but she's just a regular person that stumbled across this group. Somebody told you about the groups?
Yes, I have an accountability partner to make sure that, I'm still on top of things. I'm not creating any new debt, that I'm sending out my letters when I'm supposed to, that I'm calling the credit bureaus, getting old addresses removed, which we'll get into in a minute.
Right. Okay.
And now I will say in these groups, sometimes they do mass send-offs. So what that is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It basically states that if the credit bureaus do not physically have the document that you signed that says, hey, I'm signing for this credit card or X, Y, and Z, that they have to pull it from your credit report. That does not negate the fact that you do or do not owe this money, but it will remove it from your credit report.
Okay, so let me make that plain for y'all because I think that went over somebody's head. I think somebody missed it. Somebody reaching for potato chips. Okay, so listen. So say for instance, you sign for a credit card. Let's say you have a Discover credit card. And let's just say you haven't used that card in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, right? And it's on your credit report. You don't even have the card anymore, but it's still on your credit report. You burned up that credit card. You didn't ran it up. But there's a form in this group, Dreamcatchers.
It's a 609
It's a 609 letter in the Dreamcatchers group, and it's a letter that you would send to Discover credit card. And
so you want to send it to the credit bureau.
Send it to the credit bureau. I'm sorry. You send that letter to the credit bureau, and they will challenge Discover, because then Discover will have to present the original signed document that you signed when you had that Discover credit card. And if Discover can't produce that form with your signature, then they have to take it off your credit report. So that's one of the forms that you can find in there. Yeah. Again, it's called a 609. Write this down. Don't be inboxing me later.
You can Google it.
Right.
Yes. So,
go ahead. You had something you were going to say next?
Well, I was about to talk about the mass send-off.
Okay, go ahead.
So sometimes in these groups, they will pick a certain date for everybody that want to participate to send off a 609 letter at the same time. These groups have hundreds of thousands of people in there.
Right.
So if you have 5,000 people who are sending in these forms at the same time, now let me throw this in there. I know this is a lot, but the credit bureaus have 30 days to respond to your letter.
Right. So if you all are sending out a letter to the credit bureau at the same time, they can't get to all of them letters.
Right. And
they have to pull it from your credit report.
And you don't just print it out. You handwrite it.
You handwrite it. So that's really important.
In blue ink.
You handwrite the letter. You handwrite it. Don't type it. I know you might type 70 words a minute. You handwrite the letter in blue ink. You're handwriting it because if you type it, they just simply run it through a machine and they can catch it. But if you handwrite it, someone physically has to read that letter. And there's a big chance that they're not going to catch it. They're not going to have time because there's too many people sending letters.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
So that's called mass
send-offs.
Mass send-offs. All of this information is in
These
groups, okay?
And they will post about it like, hey, this is the date where everybody's going to send it in. Because when you mail it, you cannot send it regular mail. It has to be certified mail. Because as soon as somebody signs for it,
the clock starts. Your time. And the the credit bureau has 30 days. So if you send it certified with a return receipt, that time stamps it from the moment that they sign it, at the credit bureau, okay? The other thing that I wanted to make sure that you told them was, and remember, there are templates of these letters in the groups. The other thing that I wanted you to remember to tell them was...
Collection Shield?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a service, and it's completely free. It is called Collection Shield 360.
Collection Shield 360.com.
Yes.
Write this down. Collection Shield 360.com. Tell them what that is.
What that is that they will dispute things on your credit report on your behalf. Now, they only do 2 out of the 3 credit bureaus.
Mm-hmm. So whichever ones you got the most damage from, those are the ones that you want them to.
Well, they only do TransUnion and
Experian. Is it Experian? I would have to look at my thing.
I think it is Experian because I think Equifax is the truth out here.
Equifax ain't playing with y'all.
Yeah, they don't play.
But yeah, they work on Equifax and
TransUnion. And if you have those collection letters that they send to you, what Collection Shield does is if you scan them and you send them to Collection Shield, they have a team of lawyers who dispute those for you.
For free.
For free. Because some of the verbiage in the letters is against the law.
Let me say this. It's CollectionShield360.com. Not just Collection Shield. CollectionShield360.com. Again, they're free. What she's talking about, what Nikki is talking about, let's just say you have an old cell phone bill. Or you have an old hospital bill. Mm-hmm. You know how they send those old bills to your house? That is the letter that you're going to send to Collection Shield. When you create your profile for free on CollectionShield360.com, you're going to you're going to take a picture of that letter. Let's say it's a hospital bill or it's an ambulance bill or a Verizon wireless bill that you know you done fucked up. Mm-hmm. When they send that bill to you saying, listen, and it's an attorney's office saying, listen, we're trying to collect on behalf of Verizon, you take a picture of that. You upload it to your Collection Shield profile, and then they will work on your behalf to try to get it removed.
Yes. Now, and what happens with those letters is not only do they, depending on how they word it, not all letters are going to happen like this, but depending on how they word it, they sue. Now, the thing about Collection Shield is when they dispute or sue these companies on your behalf,
yes.
Let's say your settlement is $5,000. Collection Shield gets $4,000 for putting in that hard work, and they will give you $1,000.
Now let me explain it to you a little bit more, okay? Nikki has a friend who, we're just going to use Verizon Wireless as the example. So let's just say Nikki's friend had a Verizon Wireless bill, an outstanding bill for $5,000 that she never paid. They sent her a letter saying, listen, you owe us $5,000. Some of the language in that letter was against the law.
Yes.
Collection Shield's attorneys contacted Verizon on her behalf for free. They settled for $5,000. Collection Shield took $4,000 and they gave her $1,000. Now, where you know you're going to get $1,000 and you owe a bitch money?
Okay. Now, it doesn't happen like that for all of your letters. Right. And I will say with Collection Shield, it is not an overnight process.
Right. It takes time. But you'll get emails and things saying...
when it updates.
Right. You'll get emails when it updates. And you'll get emails periodically saying your credit score went up 16 points or something like that. Like it'll tell you. You'll get periodic notifications. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Another thing I was going to say is on your credit report, you may have several old addresses that you no longer live at. You might have jobs that you no longer work at. You might have phone numbers that is no longer your number. You can dispute to have those removed and it will boost your credit. There can be a downside because if you have good credit attached to this address, and you have it removed, your credit score can go down. So you have to think about, or at least try to remember, what you were doing at this address so that it won't impact it too much.
Right, the good credit. Do you remember what you were sharing with me the other day about the car payment thing?
Oh, okay. So in one of the groups, there was a discussion about how to pay off your car a lot faster, because a lot of times when you pay on your car note, you're really paying a lot on the interest and a little bit on the principal because of simple compound interest.
Simple compound interest.
Yes. So in the group, the guy, I think he was like a car salesman.
In the Dreamcatcher group?
I can't remember which group I saw
Okay.
it in. I could search it in just a minute.
Go ahead.
But he was saying, if you pay your car note, chop it in half, and pay it every other week, you'll be paying more on the principal and less on the interest.
So, if your car payment is $400 per month, what she's saying you should do, or this person said you should do, is pay $200 every 2 weeks. It's still $400 a month, but you're paying $200 every 2 weeks because
of the simple compounded interest.
And so basically you'd be paying more of the principal amount,
right,
and less of the interest. Correct. Because you're getting credit for making 2 payments in a month, right? Even though it totals the same amount.
Correct.
Okay, so hopefully that clarifies or that makes sense to you. Somebody said same thing with your mortgage.
Oh, okay.
Same thing is true with your mortgage. Right.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I can find it real fast.
They can look for it.
Oh, okay.
Get in the group, Dreamcatchers. Okay.
Yes. Let me see. What else can we discuss?
Okay, so now I got my credit report. So one of the things you told me to do was print out my credit report.
Yes.
I've been trying to see my shit now.
And you know what? Don't feel embarrassed when you print out your credit report, because I know
I
pulled mine, I was looking like, oh my God. When I first got to college and they had them applications sitting on your bed when you first came in, and in my head it was free money. And I took advantage of it too.
Well, you know, in my first book, I wrote about how I used to just take credit cards and I would apply for these credit cards.
Yes.
They would come in the mail when I was living in a dormitory. And when I tell you that credit card would come and I go burn it up, I go use it up, and then I call them 30 days later and say, what is this on my account? Like, I never even received this card in the mail. What is this?
And I was about to say something else about, I don't know. It'll come back to me. They even have, too, where you can dispute your student loans. Now, you know you still have to pay them. Mm-hmm. But when you get them removed from your credit report, mm-hmm, it makes it look good. Because for some people, depending on how many or how much student loans you have, it can prevent you from purchasing a house. There's
a question in here. Somebody is saying, I think Anthony White is saying, so you say pay $200 every week,
depending on what your car
every other week.
Every other week.
We were saying every other week. So, for example, if your car payment is $400 a month, you're still going to pay $400 a month, but you're just going to split it. So you're going to pay $200 every 2 weeks, but you still got to pay. So if your car payment is due on the 15th of the month, you need to pay $200 at the beginning of the month, like the first, and then pay the other $200 by the time the 15th rolled around. So you're paying it twice, but it's still for the same $400.
Correct. And if you have, I know one of the ways that I started to build my credit as well, mm-hmm, was I opened up an account with Navy Federal. Mm-hmm. Because Navy Federal Credit Union, they are really generous. Mm-hmm. Once your credit score starts creeping up, or even if you are still trying to build your credit, they have some awesome secured credit cards as well.
Secured credit card is the one where you actually send money to them.
Correct.
So, for example, if your credit is jacked up or you don't have credit or whatever, you send, let's say, $300 to them, and they put it in an account basically for you, mm-hmm, and you get a credit card, but it's not really a credit card.
It'll be whatever limit that you've already sent in.
Right. So if you send in $300, the card that they send you is going to have a $300 limit. Mm-hmm. But those kinds of cards, it's called a secured, yes, credit card. Those help you build your credit.
Yes. And you have to also watch your utilization. You only want to use about 1/3 of it. Anything more than that is going to drop your credit score.
So if you put $300 on a secured credit card, you only need to spend $100. You need to keep, that's 1/3.
Yes.
Yeah, Post Office Credit Union is good. It's really good. This is the other thing that I wanted to say too. It's really good to have more than one bank account.
Absolutely.
For several reasons. Not just because maybe you have a business account and you have a personal account, but even like with that, like I have 3 accounts, and you would swear I had $15 million. But I got 3 accounts. I have a business account with SunTrust, and I have a personal account with SunTrust. But then you guys know that I just opened up my account with the black-owned bank, which is One United Bank. It's the largest black bank in the country. So I have an account with them as well.
And see, I have 2 checking accounts. One for my bills and one for just for me to do me. And I have
for you to do what?
To do me. Yes,
that's
my
pedicure?
movies. That's my pedicure. Because if it's not in that account, then I just can't get it done.
Right.
Nothing but bills come out of my other one. That way, I don't have to worry about no overdrafts and this coming out and that coming out. And then I feel like a grown up because I can do automatic withdrawals and everything just come right on out and I know it's in there.
Right. So what I would suggest is it's really good if you can get like a regular bank account and get a credit union, because credit unions are good to have. If you can get your credit union account, it's good to have a credit union account in addition to a regular,
and I have like bank. 4 savings accounts because I don't want all of my savings money to be for the same thing. I have a vacation savings account. I have my regular savings account, and then I have an emergency fund savings account, and then I just have, what is that one called? Oh, that's my home fund for when I buy a house. And that's for that savings account. Because I've noticed that with all of my money in one spot, I pick and choose, what I'm going to put it towards. And then when it's time, then you have this one lump sum of money, and that's just too much. So if I have separate ones and I know I got $50 here, $75 here going to each of these different accounts, it'll add up, and I know like, oh, okay, if I want to buy a house, this is my house account. I have X amount of money.
Somebody asked, what about prepaid credit cards? That's pretty much just like the a secured credit card that we were just talking about.
But also, when you get these, you want to make sure that the interest rate is not going to stroke you.
Yes. Because even though you've sent your money in on this card, there's still interest.
Right, and you don't want any annual fees.
Right. A lot of those prepaid cards come with annual fees, though. There are plenty that don't.
Yeah, there are some that don't, but I would... you don't have to get the first one that you see.
Right.
If you have a credit union, I would definitely suggest going through the credit union because it'll be good. They'll see that you're paying on time, and when it's time for you to, let's say you want to refinance your car to get your payments lowered. Credit unions are awesome.
But that was the next statement I was going to make. It's always better to go, if you're not going to pay cash for a car, it's always better if you have a credit union. It's always better to finance through a credit union because their interest rate is always going to be less than a traditional bank. Always.
Absolutely.
And my mom said this to me years ago because the very first car that I bought was through a credit union. And she said to me, God forbid something happens where you may be late with your payment for your car, or something happened or whatever. A credit union is going to do everything in their power to try to work with you. They're not going to come and try to not steal your car, but repossess your car. They're not going to try to come
steal it when they
repossess it. They're not going to try to come and repossess it right away like a regular bank, or if you finance through a dealership. A dealership, they're like, oh, but you ain't got your money? Oh, okay, we on our way.
Matter of fact, now with dealerships, you can't even start your car late.
Listen,
you ain't going nowhere.
We got time for a story.
Oh, absolutely. I love a good story.
Let me tell you about me. I tell y'all all the time that listen, I clean up well. I'm a Renaissance man. I know things about wines and foods and shit. But let me tell you, at the core of who I am, I will always be hood. I clean up well, and I cross my T's and and all that good stuff. So a couple years ago, I had a car. It's called a LoJack system. I had gotten a car from a buy here, pay here. The little dealership you go in.
Absolutely.
And baby, when I tell you I went in and I bought me one of those cars from a buy here, pay here, and they had that LoJack system on the car, so if I didn't make my payment, they could shut it off. Now, in this particular scenario, I was not late on my car payment, but the dealership was run by, and I'm not racially profiling or being, and I'm not suggesting anything, but it was run by some Hispanic people. They were Mexicans, right? And they were serious about their money. So like my payment would be due like on a Friday, right? When I tell you their computer system wasn't linked to their payment gateway. So I would go online and make my payment, but they didn't get a notification in the office. Somebody in the office manually had to pull up their system to see who made their payment for the day. When I tell you them motherfuckers used to cut my car off just for sport, just for practice, I can't begin to tell you how many times I cussed them people out. One day I drove to the dealership. I was so mad with them. I was 38 hot. When I say I cussed and carried on so bad. But I hadn't missed any payments. One last thing. I was in Birmingham, Alabama for a signing. I had a signing in Birmingham. Birmingham is 1 hour behind Atlanta. Baby, when I tell you the signing was over, I'm going to get in the car. I didn't sign books, took pictures. I'm getting in the car. Went to turn. That girl didn't even come on. When I say,
Lord have mercy.
And by the time I called them, because in Birmingham, it was an hour behind. By the time I called the dealership, they were closed, bitch. I was in Birmingham, and I was like, bitch, I don't know how I'm going to get from up here. But in those systems have like an emergency number. Mm-hmm. And you can call call the manufacturer that makes the LoJack. And I called them, and they gave me some emergency code that I could put in. But they said, but sir, this is the only time we can ever give you this. So that was the only time they could give it to me. But I got the card turned back on. But when I say I cussed them motherfuckers out, but see, here's the ghetto part of me. I don't care how much money I ever amass. I will always keep my ears to the streets. Okay. So I called one old hood Negro and said, listen, I've been making my car payment one time. Now, this is just one point in my life that I was actually making my payments on time. And here they cutting my shit off. And he said, oh, yeah, bring the car over to my mama's house. I'm going to go ahead and fix it. When I say he cut that girl off, but you got to be careful. Now, I'm not trying to tell y'all how to do this.
This is a story, not advice.
This is a story, not advice. But I took my car over there, and what he did was he disabled the LoJack. You have to go up underneath their steering wheel. He disabled it. But you got to be careful with how you disable it, because you can send a signal to the dealership. They'll know that you fucked with it.
Oh, but they get a signal for that, but not for your payment. Lord.
Now you're picking up what I'm putting down.
See?
So he disabled it. And so they would go to they would go ahead to go to cut it off. Because, see, once he disabled it, I started paying it when the fuck I felt like it at that point. Since y'all bitches want to keep cutting my shit off, I'm going to go ahead and pay y'all when I feel like it. So I started paying them late. Them bitches thought they were cutting my shit off. I still was riding all around the city. In fact, not only did I have him disable mine, but I had referred him to two of my friends, and he cut theirs off too.
Did you get a discount for your referral program?
No, I didn't even charge them, because I knew they were having tough times. But go ahead.
I don't even know where I was going.
Look, ghetto party of one, ghetto party of one. Your table is ready. Ghetto party of one, your table is ready. But yeah, so those are just good tools to know, not the LoJack part. But those are tools to know in terms of like your if you're going to purchase a car, you should really try to go through a credit union if you can.
Or save up the money and pay cash. Because I know credit is so important, but cash is king. Yeah. And if you have the cash, you will be surprised how much you can negotiate with cash.
Because I've done that.
Yeah, because with credit, they know you got to wait on this and this got to clear. But with cash, they know, you can run that off. Right.
Okay, so once you print out your credit report, because that was what I did. You were saying that we should go through my credit report and do what?
And go through take a look, go through what you've actually done and what you're kind of iffy on.
What you mean? They know they fucked this shit up. They know that,
not all the time.
Sometimes there's stuff on there that you didn't do.
I had 2 addresses that were not mine. One was in Texas and one was in like Minnesota.
And it was showing on your credit report.
It was showing on my credit report I have never had. They had a Jeep on my credit report. I have never owned a Jeep. Like sometimes if somebody gets your credit, it is little things that they don't pay. I had a Home Depot card because my wallet had got stolen one time in a club, and at the time nothing had appeared on my credit report. It wasn't until years later that things started popping up, and I started getting calls from Home Depot about my bill being late. And it's like, well, wait a minute. And once your credit has been stolen or compromised, it is so tough to prove that it's not you.
Somebody just asked, what about things that have already gone to collection? That's what we're talking about. This is everything that we're talking about. All of this stuff is the stuff that's on your credit report that's in collections.
Yes. And if it's in collections now, go ahead and sign up on Credit Shield 360. Do not discuss anything over the phone. Right. Don't admit to anything. And if you're going to talk, use the word allegedly.
Oh.
Yes, because anything else, you're admitting that this debt is yours.
This debt is mine. That's if one of those creditors call you.
Right, and
if you got debt, if you got creditors calling you, you don't need to be talking to them on the phone.
That's right.
If you ain't got no money to pay them, get your ass off the phone. What you talking for if you ain't got no damn money?
Because once you send these letters, you need to make sure that it gets removed. But if you on the phone talking and making payment arrangements,
they're like, "Oh, girl, we know this is yours."
Yeah.
You said because you don't talk to nobody that why are you talking to somebody if you don't owe them? Like what you talking to them for? Okay, so here's my question. The other thing that I wanted to say too, if a debt is on your credit 7 years old, those are things that you can dispute because they're supposed to fall on.
Well, the thing about it is they have gotten better with that. It could be up on the 99th day before you get to that 7th year, and they'll sell it to another creditor, and it'll start all over again.
All over. But there are sometimes instances when
it'll fall off. Inquiries will fall off and boost your credit score too.
Now, inquiry is like if you go to try out for
you want that 20% off on that outfit, and you apply for that credit card,
or you going applying for cars, or
Now there are what they call shopping cart tricks, where you can get store cards. Without putting in your full credit, I'm pulling in your full social security number, so it's not doing a hard pull. I don't do that because I don't want no more cards.
Okay, so somebody just said if you file a police report for a stolen wallet, you can damn near get everything removed from your report.
You can, but it will also depend on when you filed a police report.
So I can go file a police report tomorrow?
You can.
For some shit I got on.
You do know that if you lie.
Right. So again, we're not encouraging you to do that.
It's a story, not advice.
Right. All right. So once I pull this stuff on here and we look through here, we make sure that everything on here belongs to me. Make sure all of the addresses on here belong to me.
Even if they do belong to you, if they're old.
What's old? 7 years?
Anywhere you don't live no more.
So they have debts on here that it correlates with. You can see it on here. Is it itemized that way?
It's not itemized that way. You basically guessed.
Well, girl, I don't want none of this debt. Okay, I need to dispute all of it because ain't none of this stuff on here from when I lived here. Okay. So everything on here. But
do you have any good credit from living here?
I don't have any credit. You mean like credit cards?
Anything good that's in your name?
Yeah, my power bill, my water bill.
Not credit. What about the car note?
I don't have a car note.
Well, see. So we have to be careful of what we're going to dispute because anything that has been paid and closed, we don't want to dispute an address that's attached.
Well, what is that? Girl, what's paid? What is that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, is that? Oh, Sam's Club. Okay, well that's paid and closed.
Right. So, do you kind of know where you were living when you had that? Because that was.
Girl, I still got Sam's Club, but it's not a credit card anymore. You
got the membership.
Yeah, that was a credit card with Sam's. But I don't have that anymore. They need to have dates. Girl, there it is. The date right there. July 6th, 2016.
So, 2006.
2006. Where was I living in 2006?
Hell if I know.
Oh, I know where I was living. No, I was living in Vinings. Okay. And so, what do I... So, I don't do anything with that.
Well, so what I did with mine is I kind of
What about some of these repossessions?
You could get them removed.
All right, well, that's what I want to start with.
So... what we're going to do is we're going to pick out at least, we'll start with 4 accounts that we're going to do 609 letters for.
Okay. And so we're going to pull the 609 letters from Credit Shield, from Dream Catchers group on Facebook.
Let me see if I can pull it up real fast.
Okay, so we're going to pull that letter, and then I'm going to send the letter to the credit bureaus that are.
And then, too, there are times when, let's say, it might be like $200, there are people who will email whomever the CEO of said company might be and say, hey, this is my story. Can you please, remove this debt from my account? And there are people that it have been done for. I have yet to do it.
So I could write a letter to Sprint. Now, I've never had Sprint.
You would send an email to the CEO
of Sprint,
or somebody of importance.
And sometimes they'll remove it.
Yes.
Somebody said open up a small credit card like Saks, and then make girl. I don't even know if Saks would give me a credit card. Here, my shit's so scarred up from being, really, I was really, really good with my credit when I first started getting credit when I was in college. I was really good about paying my credit card off in full because I never would spend more in a month that I could pay off by the end of the month.
Right.
And my mother said to me, well, why are you doing that? You just pay part of that. And baby, that was the wrong thing to tell me. But more than anything, what happened with me was just building a business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Doing the play at 26 years old, starting my greeting card business at 26 years old, just starting my LLC, Impeccable Works, which now publishes my books, my greeting cards, just starting that. It costs money to do all of that. And there were times that I didn't have money, so I would put that shit on the credit card, you know what I'm saying? Or just wouldn't think about it.
Okay, so I want to let you guys know too, because I didn't mention this. There are 5 different 609 letters. So these letters are sent to the credit bureaus. You start with the first 609 letter. You send the letter certified mail with a copy of your social security card and your ID or driver's license. You handwrite the entire letter or type it and only handwrite the name of the account and the account numbers, which will be on your credit report. Or you can do partial numbers because they know what they got on there.
Right.
And only dispute a maximum of 20 accounts at a time on one letter.
Okay. So there are how many different letters?
5.
5 different. So you go in order.
Yes.
And they're listed in that group, Dream Catchers on Facebook.
So you send each credit bureau their own letter. And if you do not receive a response in 30 business days, or the accounts are not removed, or anything like that, you send 609 letter number 2. You follow the same pattern until you either get the accounts you want removed, or you have sent out letter number 5. And if after 609 letter number 5 and the credit bureaus do not remove the accounts you are disputing, you file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau.
And remember, if you have questions, you're in a group with 500,000 people. Dream Catchers has about 500,000 people in there. So you can always post and ask a question. Hey guys, I'm not sure what to do first. And then, like I said, they have templates. They have examples of these letters in there. So it's not like you have to come out with the verbiage.
And see, like I said, both groups have handbooks that you can follow to get started. Because everybody is not going to start on step 1, depending on what your credit level is. But they have groups, they have templates, they tell you other websites that you can go to watch your credit score. They have different resources, and they have the numbers to the credit bureaus, because sometimes when you're lucky, you can call on the phone and they can remove stuff.
Right. You call the credit bureau.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can have things removed.
This is free. There is no cost.
So, and let me explain.
Oh, what about eviction? Oh, explain what? Go ahead.
Okay. Before I get to evictions, the 609 letter. So, and let me, because I know I touched on it again, but for those who may be joining us. So, Section 609 of the Fair Credit Reporting Act section basically states that they have to provide for the protection of consumers against false and erroneous reporting. So, if it ain't true, you dispute it. If it is true, you dispute it. Dispute it. Get your credit score up. They need proof. They need that exact paper that you signed saying, I signed for this credit card. And they're not going to have it.
And most of these people don't have those. If you apply for a credit card years ago or...
Except for Capital One. If you have a... Capital One is on it.
Capital One be on it.
Capital One be on it.
They not playing with y'all.
They not playing.
So don't go in there half stepping. You better get your shit in order before you go fuck with Capital One. Okay, because
I disputed Capital One from one of these debt collection agencies. Baby, they sent me the paper because Capital One had sent it to them.
It was given. Here you go.
Yep.
Here's her signature right here.
I had to post in the group like, well, what do I do now?
Girl, you can't do nothing with Capital One. Okay, so they're asking about an eviction.
Okay, hold on. Because they do talk about evictions.
They talk about evictions as well. That's why you just have to take some time and go in this Facebook group. It's a Facebook group called Dream Catchers. We talked about Credit Warriors as well.
Yes.
Credit Warriors is another one. But remember, Dream Catchers Facebook group, they offer a lot of these forms and stuff for free.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing, some people did dispute them. Now your what do you call those?
What was it?
I'm trying to think what they called when it's I can't think of the correct name of it right now. I'm having a moment. Mm-hmm. But they no longer show up on your credit report.
What is it? Expunged or something?
No. It's just the way that they're doing credit reports now. So what is that called when you go to court for those things? Public records.
Public records.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are no longer showing on your credit report. However,
so what's an example of a public record, like an eviction?
Like an eviction.
Okay.
So you can dispute them. And if it does come back to be true, then what you'll have to do is you can pay them and you need to have them write a letter saying that the debt is paid in full.
Right. Somebody asked about how long after you write a letter and how long does it take for them to remove it if they remove it?
It really depends. It could be as soon as a week or two. Sometimes it can take 30 days. Sometimes it could take more than 30 days. It really just depends on them. They're supposed to give you some kind of answer within 30 to 45 days.
Right. Okay.
If they don't, that's when you send the second 609 letter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most times I have never gotten to the fifth 609 letter. I've only had to do the second one, and I've had stuff removed.
Okay. So somebody asked about a broken lease and evictions. Is that all under the same kind of process?
It'll be all under the same umbrella.
All under the same umbrella.
And because I don't have personal experience with it, if you go in a group and you type it in the search, you'll find a dozen or so posts
right.
Regarding having the same questions, and it'll have a bunch of answers. And the thing that I had to do when you first get into the group, don't ask questions, read.
Right. So
Read
just
first.
look around first. Just kind of feel your way around. Jabari is asking, so you don't pay a person to do this. No, this is stuff you can do on your own.
Credit Shield 360.
Credit Shield 360.
And you can't afford to pay nobody to do it if you ain't paying the bills on time.
Right. So you're going to go to creditshield360.com and create a free profile, and they handle a lot of this stuff for you too. Okay? So just when this video ends, just go back to the beginning because we talked about all of that. No, you don't have to pay anybody to do it.
And I do see somebody had just asked about student loans. So let me say this about student loans. If you have gone anywhere, like the Art Institute, Keller, DeVry, Brown Mackey,
Trump University,
any of those, and you've taken out student loans, you can go to the Department of Education website. There is a form that you can fill out, and basically in the form you're stating, hey, I didn't get what I was supposed to get from this school. They promised me I was going to get X, Y, and Z, and they didn't match up to what they said. Mm-hmm. They will remove that. However much you paid to go there, they will remove it.
Really?
Yes. I've had 2 colleges done like that. Now, I still owe student loans, but I've had 2 of the colleges, because I went to the Art Institute for a little while. I went to Bowder for a little while. And I went to Keller, which is a part of DeVry. And because they are for-profit schools, mm-hmm. and they told me I was going to have all these wonderful job opportunities and jobs, and that did not add up, the government forgave those loans. Now, you can get student loans removed from your credit account, from your credit report, but you still have, the government does not play. You still have to pay it. The best, there is a young lady that I follow on Instagram who has paid off almost $100,000 worth of student loans in about 3 years. What she does is her loans are not consolidated. So her loans are, they're broken down. She put them on forbearance. She started with the lowest loan, which was like $1,000, paid that off. Then she went to the next highest, paid that off. And you make payments to those as it goes on.
Somebody just asked, what about repossessions? And the company sue you, should I do bankruptcy? We talked about that just a moment ago. We talked about repossessions and how you can have those removed as well.
Yes.
I think it's kind of tricky to say whether or not a person should file bankruptcy.
I think that you should exhaust all of your options
before doing that.
Join the group, because ironically, when I was scrolling looking for the 609 letters, I saw somebody ask a question about that. I would say if you can avoid it, I would, because once you file for a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, it's going to take 7 to 10 years for you to rebuild that credit history, and your interest rates are going to be high. And that's what you're trying to avoid now. So if you go in a group, they might tell you to figure out a payment plan and get a paid in full letter once you're done. But there are ways. So don't give up. Don't file just yet, but definitely peruse the group. Search exactly what it is that you're asking, and I'm sure somebody has already asked for you.
Somebody said they did the same thing that you did with the school thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then somebody else asked, what if they graduated from the school? They're not giving you your money back if you graduated, are they?
Yeah,
they will?
Because if when you went to that school and they told you, by coming here, we help all of our students find jobs, and our students have jobs and here, and nobody did anything for you, you could still dispute it. I mean, the worst they can tell you is, we're not going to forgive it and you're still going to owe the money.
And they said, what the school was supposed to do? What?
Well, okay, so we'll take me. I went to Bowder College, and I went for it was like fashion merchandising,
right.
And they were like, we help all of our students get great jobs. We have some that are stylists and doing this, and we have them doing that. They didn't help not nan bit.
Right. And yes, we talked about medical collections as well, and we talked about foreclosures.
Yeah, so dispute it. The worst they can say is that you owe it, and you still got to pay it.
Right.
And it's also good to get you an accountability partner to make sure that you following up like you should, that you sending the letters like you should. Somebody that's going to make sure that you on top of your things, because we know that life happens, and sometimes you forget, or sometimes you fall off the bandwagon, but they there to make sure that you don't stop doing it for good. You might take a little break, but then you get back on it. So
do you know why the 609 form has to be written in blue?
The black ink, they can still scan it and send it.
Oh, they can scan it through the... Right.
So you want to make sure that somebody physically has to read it.
Right.
And with the way that their workloads are going...
there's a chance that they're going to miss your...
Mm-hmm. And not get back in time.
Right. All right, so hopefully you guys heard something that's going to benefit you. Share this video, because I'm sure there are other people that you know that may need information. Listen, I have 3 books. Words Never Spoken is the first. One Thing for Certain, Two Things for Sure is the second. And So Much to Say, A Book of Quotes is the third. I would really appreciate your support. All 3 books are available on Amazon, all e-readers, and the first 2 books are available as Audible. I'm narrating the first 2 books. If you want to order them directly from me, you can. My Cash App ID is The Writer. The Writer. 1 book is $20, 2 $36, 3 $54. I also have a ringtone. It's Hey Girl Hey. Hey Girl Hey. Available in iOS.